now to introduce your dance partner. I don't know if that will stick, Bernard, maybe for a while. Bernard Gloster, the CEO of the HSE, who has over 30, I won't say how many over 30, but years experience in health and social services, and will be known to pretty much everyone in the room here today. So we're delighted to welcome you to be here with us to mark World Patient Safety Day and share your thoughts and your vision with us. Bernard, thank you.
Good morning. Thanks, Kate and Secretary General Robert and Demetra as the guest speaker for the morning session, and to all of you as guests. I don't know where your man gets time for dancing, but it is a pleasure to be back here again. Robert and I were here at the start of National Patient Safety Office Day just a little under a year ago now, and it is good to come back. It's good to come back to refresh, to see the progress, and also to recognise and accept the challenges. And sometimes I think when we talk about challenges, there's a view that it's very hard for us to look in the mirror and to confront those challenges, because there's a sense of it doesn't recognise all the good. We can recognise all of the good, and we can at the same time embrace the challenges to make it better. I was reflecting on the concept and construct of patient safety, and as I approach today, and I hope the National Patient Safety Office and others won't mind if I slightly just stretch that for a moment in the context of the HSE and talk about public safety. Because the HSE, we're one of the few jurisdictions where the health service also is the delivery system for the entire personal social service system that so many people need, and the interconnection between social care for people with disabilities, for older people, and now with the demographic that we have, the importance of that for people with enduring mental illness, and the connection between that and what we talk about properly and rightly in the context of the clinical and medical world. I think it's important that we stretch ourselves always to remember that safety is a concept that must come into every feature of our work as we interact with people, sometimes people who are at the most vulnerable point in time in their lives, and whether that's facing a diagnostic query of a serious illness, whether that's facing a procedure, whether that's facing recovery, or whether that's facing care when at times the particular life circumstances of people greatly increases their vulnerability. That greatly increases their exposure to the risk of danger, and that greatly then correspondingly calls on us to motivate ourselves to learn from and to ensure that we pursue the options that are available for safety. In the context of the HSE, then, if I can just to reflect, I think we are very fortunate in this jurisdiction that the visibility and vibrance of the National Patient Safety Office of the Department of Health has practically transformed the attention to and focus on this agenda in a sustained way. And the relationship between that and the HSE's own processes and structures, led by my colleague, Dr. Colm Henry, the Chief Clinical Officer, the translation of that and the connection of those two constructs is fundamentally important. We rely on the department to set the policy, to provide the international context, and as Robert said, the increasing move towards putting statutory underpinning provisions around all aspects of how we serve the people that we're privileged to serve. But then, when all of that's done, and I often say this to Robert, we're very good at policy, we're very good at developing legislation, but the challenge of implementation, that's the job of the HSE. And when we come to talk about the challenge of it, well, the challenge can't be the reason for not doing it. It can certainly be the source of our frustration, and indeed the frustration might give us the energy to continue to respond. Once we're prepared to, as I say, look in that mirror and recognise we do so much that's good, we make so many people safe, we make so many people well again. But that can never be a place of complacency for either the shortcomings or indeed the new possibilities that come about. Today, later, you will hear about new structures in the HSE. I'm not going to go back over my repeated statements of speeches about the importance of structures, but the importance of structures not being just about structure, but actually about what they enable and what happens in them. And today you'll hear from 3 of the new 6 regional leaders of the health service in this country. And I will leave them to their observations. But fundamentally, from my perspective, as I seek to implement the provisions of Sláinte Care as a policy platform, and to work with the Secretary-General and his team to develop much more slim and new structures within the HSE. Mind you, if you read today's papers, you think just increasingly top-heavy we are. So I'll be looking forward to responding to that in the Oireachtas Committee tomorrow, no doubt. But what I would say is, as we build those structures, we have to remember what they're about. And today, that's about the construct of patient safety becoming part of and central to any structure, but also patient and service user safety, to go back to my earlier point. Very conscious we talk about patient participation, patient involvement, service user involvement in what we do. And there will always be a tension point and challenge as to how well do we really live up to that. By its very nature, when you seek to include, you often create the visibility of what the exclusion is. Next week will be our National Patient Participation Conference, and I look forward to exploring there again the challenges of that, and I believe we have made great progress, but again, like the safety agenda, so much more to do. And I'm so delighted that today in this audience there are patient representatives, there are patient advocates, there are people with lived experience of the health service. Perhaps the one thing we all share in common is we all either have been, are or will be a user of the health services that we steward on behalf of the people that we serve. And so that involvement is critical and it is central. On the back of your badge, there's an exam question. It's the Patient Safety Rights Charter, which will be talked about later today, and which hopefully we all commit to. And it works to 10 very simple points. And indeed, the inclusion of patients and their families is very much central to that, but also the inclusion of timely, effective and appropriate care. And I just want to mention timely for a moment, and Robert made reference to this. When I was addressing the progress on integrated care last week, I made the point that when we talk about safety, when we talk about public safety and patient safety, we can't just, nor should we be fooled into thinking about the people who are in front of us. In other words, the people we're seeing and responding to. We have to be conscious all of the time of the people who are waiting for us, because it is potentially in that waiting is the greatest risk, is the greatest possibility of harm, because it means that there's a need unattended to. And for as long as that need is unattended to, then of course, rightly, concern arises in that. And so in that charter, timely is something that's of particular relevance and importance. Finally, as we go into today's conference, and as we go into the significance and importance of the theme, think global, act local. And I know across the world today there are slogans like "get it right, make it safe." But whatever the slogan, your presence here today and your contributions today and your expertise, as Robert said, that's what generates the real rich debate and discourse that contributes all of the time to what hopefully is a health service that is continuously trying to strengthen itself in its capacity to be reflective, and to be reflective on what's good, to keep making it better, and to be reflective on what's not working so well in an attempt particularly to make it safer. Thank you.